Okay, so recently my class, we were given some questions that we could answer. So I thought I'd make a little video answering these. So it's a bit of a Q&A kind of thing. So I'll just get into that. First, a bit of background. I'm a deck cadet in the Merchant Navy. So a lot of people ask, okay, what even is that? So basically, I'm in training to become navigational officer or deck officer on merchant ships. So that includes tankers, container ships, bulk carriers, cruise ships. It's not military, it's all these kind of merchant things. It's kind of like the path or the route to becoming captain. So I'm kind of like at the start of that route. We'll just get straight into the questions. They kind of expand a bit more on what I do. The training that we do is so varied. A ship is out in the ocean. It has to be self-sufficient. So if there's a fire on board, you need to be trained in firefighting. And if there's an injury, you have to be trained in first aid. But then at the complete other end of the spectrum, we have to learn things about maritime law, management, things like even meteorology. There's a lot that goes into it. So our training is so varied. When it asks, what was that experience like? It's so cool just to spend time and just gather all this varied information, and it's quite cool to have. When we first started the course, we were basically learning how to tie knots. We were learning a bit about sea survival. They kind of threw all the basics at us, a bit about security, personal health on board, things like that. And then they sent us out on our first ship. So that was kind of like the start. So we spent 5 weeks in college and then they sent us out on our first ship. So that was a bit crazy, but that's how we did it. And then on board, when you're on the ship, that's where you really learn the most, really. It's just a different world on board. You have to really learn ship life. It's just different. There's a way of living on board that it can't be taught in college. You have to experience it for yourself. You get so many new skills from this course. I've learned skills about first aid, firefighting, ship stability, GMDSS, like all about radios, things like that. But then another one is like management. So learning management and leadership skills, that's a big one. And especially in the Merchant Navy, where you have so many different cultures. And so trying to manage that can be quite difficult. It's a challenge, but you have to learn it. So that's one of the skills that I've kind of noticed in myself that I've picked up. And then as well as that, I'd say another skill would be how you respond to emergencies. When you're on board, you have to do drills, a lot of drills, and it's just that process of making it second nature. Whenever you hear that alarm, you know what to do. That's definitely a skill. I mean, we even learn about crowd management. That's kind of in the situation of being on a cruise ship where you have all the passengers and they can all react in different ways, which can be disastrous. Knowing how to take control of that and be the leader, knowing how to respond properly and stay calm, it's definitely a skill that you kind of have to learn. I could choose between deck side, engine side, and ETO side. So those are kind of like the three options. Deck side, I'd be learning about navigating, and then the engine side, learn all about the engine stuff down there. ETO, that's electrician, so you just be doing a lot of electronic stuff. When I was applying, the engine department probably suited me best on paper. I did engineering for my leaving cert. I did things like maths, physics, and I probably would have enjoyed it. The deck department, it just seemed a lot more appealing to me and it seemed to suit my personality a bit better. So when I was actually 16, I got to do some work experience on this small bulk carrier. So I spent about 2 or 3 weeks on board. I basically got to just try everything. I was in the galley peeling potatoes. I was in the engine room a bit. I was out on deck, and then I was also on the bridge doing a bit of like steering. So I got to experience everything, which not many people get to do going into it. So from that, I definitely knew I wanted to be in the deck department. It just seemed so cool to me, and I'm still happy I chose it. I mean, the whole thing is, I see as an achievement. Probably the biggest thing was joining my first ship and finishing that contract. I mean, it was quite crazy just to be in college for that short of a time. So it was quite cool because obviously when you go on a ship, the company, they'll fly you out. So you'll get an email with your flight details. And that's it, you just show up. It's really cool. Of course, that was my first experience, so it was crazy. It was a mixture of excitement and a bit of nervousness, but mostly excited. You don't know what to expect. So it was quite cool in that sense. I got on this flight. I had a few flights. I had to go hopping around the place, but eventually I got to Sardinia. And then the next morning I got picked up by a company agent and he brought me to the ship, which was crazy. It was just unreal that was happening to me, that I was just going through that experience. Joining the ship, that was just a bit surreal. Like you just have no idea what to expect. So you go on board and you meet all these people, and you're going to be spending the next couple of months with those guys. So that's crazy. But yeah, just settling in and I don't know, getting used to that ship life. It can be quite difficult. I don't know, I thought I was quite fortunate to have a good crew, good ship. It was good fun. But anyways, I spent about 4.5 months on that ship, which was the longest time I'd been away from home at the time. So that was just crazy, you know, being away for that long. I had spent my first Christmas away on board. I spent my 18th birthday on board. It was a lot of achievements in a short period of time, you know. Of course, now when I joined my other ships, they were all special, but I didn't feel the same level of achievement in a way because I'd done it before. So it kept getting easier and easier to go on a ship for a few months, work hard. But I would say that's my biggest achievement. Just doing that first contract was just so cool. So 3 words, I'd say adventure, challenging, and diverse. So I mean, it's an adventure. You're gonna go to all these new countries. You're gonna meet all these new people. It's a lot of hard work as well. That's why I say it's challenging. It's not supposed to be this easy life of, oh, I get to see the world and get paid for it. No, you're working hard every day, but you have to make the most of it. And then of course I say diverse because it's just crazy how diverse it is. First of all, I mean the training. You're learning everything, you know, from tying in knots to maritime law and everything in between. All the skills you learn, it's diverse. But then even when you go on board, you're gonna be hit with this culture shock of all these different cultures, and that's diverse, and the food and the language, and then the countries you go to. You could be working in China, and then a month later you could be working in America. And so I mean, working with those kind of people, it's difficult as well, especially when they don't have English and you're trying to communicate things to them. So that can be a challenge, but it is cool getting to experience all of that. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found it interesting. Maybe you learned something you didn't know about the Merchant Navy. So yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching. All right, see ya.
But mankind won't be destroyed. The fact that you and I are working here today